I did have an article I kind of wanted to talk about here today. Screw off, LGBTQ bullies. We won't apologize for being Christian. Okay. Riddle me this, Batman with nipples. If LGBTQ people get an entire month in which they celebrate themselves simply because of the sexual friction they prefer, even demanding you celebrate them, why am I told to shut my yap about Jesus? Sure, that's a bit of a non sequitur, but I'd still like an answer. Specifically from the LGBTQ side, which tells anyone who disagrees with them to shove their Jesus fishes up their rectal cavities. Before I get too far into the reads, allow me a point of clarification. When I refer to LGBTQ in this column, I'm referring to the Gestapo, a group of militant LGBTQ activists who wield their social justice swords without mercy, maiming anyone who dares disapprove of their lifestyle. This is one way of looking at it. Another is looking at it from the perspective of a group of disenfranchised and marginalized people pushing back against a society which is disenfranchising and marginalizing them. The hypocrisy is glaring. I'm not addressing the, what I think to be, majority of gay and lesbian people who just want to live their lives like the rest of us, privately, peacefully, with little incident, just the GameStop types. Yeah. I've talked about her before. This woman here, the trans woman who went into a GameStop and was called sir like 7 times and was, yeah.
Of you.
No, you said sir. Once again, it's ma'am.
Well, this video from right here in New Mexico.
Yeah, as I've said before, this is a queen. She has clearly just recently started transitioning. She may not even have been on hormones at the time. She just started social transitioning. But she had the spine to stand up to what happened here. The one issue I have with this is that it doesn't show what happened before she started yelling at the person. So the obvious assumption we're supposed to get here is that she got misgendered once and flipped her lid. I've been in multiple situations where I accidentally misgender someone, and then I correct myself and apologize, and everything is cool. But I've also seen situations where someone, either deliberately or accidentally, because I have accidentally, at a call center job I had, called someone with a very deep masculine voice, ma'am, 2 or 3 times because I was nervous and dumb. So that can happen without any malicious intent. So I am very curious if anyone has seen footage from before she started flipping out. If it was, I'm sorry, sir, it's ma'am. Or if it was, I'm sorry, sir, I understand, actually it's ma'am. Okay, sir, and it just kept going like that. The militant, butch-cutted lesbians demanding I stamp their scissor lovemaking with approval. What's wrong with scissor lovemaking? Well, they chalk up my attraction to burly men as some form of internalized misogyny. No one seriously believes this, and if they do, then they're simply wrong. Being attracted to burly men is just fine. That was just special for me required after having to think about lesbian lovemaking, #self-care. Oh, okay, I get it. I was wondering what the hell this picture had to do with anything, but it's just put there as eye bleach because she had to think about lesbians for a minute. Last week, Ellen Page, a lesbian activist, sometimes actress, tried church-shaming Chris Pratt simply because some of Pratt's church leaders have said homosexuality is a sin. Pratt has clarified where he stands on the whole non-controversy, but he should have never had to clarify or defend himself. Pratt's original point was to share an inspiring message about the light of someone's soul shining for others. He said nothing at all about gays, lesbians, or trans women weightlifters, brave and stunning as they are. The sarcasm is implied. So, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of issues with the role and position churches enjoy in society. With this idea that churches dictate what is moral, and we are expected to take that and accept it as the truth of morality without any supporting arguments or statement. Mostly because their morality comes from, it's what the Bible says. And the Bible is itself a self-contradictory document that any moral arguments from it would inherently have to deal with the fact that the Bible promotes misogyny, slavery, rape, that the Bible says that murder is okay as long as they believe in a different sky fairy than you do. All of these things are completely ignored by all the Godbotherers who want to say that homosexuality is a sin. But Paige couldn't take the positivity for what it was. She couldn't accept a happy message while disagreeing with Christianity's position on homosexuality. No, she had to throw away all that is good about Chris Pratt to focus on what she thinks make him terrible, Christianity's teachings on homosexuality. Again, if we consider the utility of these positions, I have not seen a sufficient argument for the moral utility of Christianity as a social institution. Now, let me be clear. I have multiple people in my family who are very religious, and I have seen how it helps them to have that religious organization. So I don't want to say that religion has no societal redeeming characteristics from an individual perspective. And I'm sorry I keep hitting my microphone. I talk with my hands. You can argue for a religious society will yield better results for everyone. The problem is proving that. But yeah, I can imagine arguments for a religious society being better in many respects, but I have a hard time. I can't really imagine very convincing arguments. I guess I should say, I can't really imagine arguments that could not also be made of a secular society. The crux of the gay pride movement, as I understand it, is to be proud of who you are without apology. Why then do gay activists demand Christians apologize for who they are? Why must Christians be cornered, made to feel othered for such radical, extreme beliefs that babies have rights to life? Those babies are best raised by their mothers and fathers who are joined in holy matrimony, and above all, God, not the government, should be obeyed. But that's an interesting question. I too believe that children have a right to life, but that right to life is not greater than the mother's right to bodily autonomy. So I fully support inventing technology that will allow us to remove a child from the mother and keep it alive until it is fully termed. As long as we have something to do with all these babies that will no longer be with their natural mothers. The rest of this argument is, whatever. It's a rhetorical question, one I've postulated many times in previous news posts. I think many in the LGBTQ community grossly overestimate just how much Christians care about their day-to-day routines. Frankly, if what you're doing is between consensual adults, whatever it is that you do is between you, the person you're doing it to, and God himself. All Christians ask is that you refrain from requesting our blessing for that activity. And we request that you refrain from condemning us for that activity, which is what many Godbotherers do. It's a straw man argument. She's saying, why do they ignore the good part of the post, the part where they're not gay bashing? Yeah. Which I think is fair, as we in the Christian community do not demand you endorse our way of life, only that you leave us to it. You know, I'm going to go back to the OG George Carlin here and his 3 edited commandments. 1. Thou shalt always be honest and faithful to the giver of thy nookie. 2. Thou shalt try really hard not to kill anyone unless they worship a different invisible man than you. And 3. Thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. You're perfectly able to be judgmental as much as you want in your own head. There are dozens of people I have met in my daily life, maybe hundreds, who, for one reason or another, legitimately or not, I judged them. Whether it was their clothes, their mode of speech, the way they were acting, the people they were with, whatever. You know what I didn't do? Tell them they were wrong and morally irredeemable for what they were doing. And you know what? If religious people did not seek to morally condemn every person who disagreed with their beliefs, the world would be a happier place. Real talk, though, if we're looking at goals, this person clearly sees their faith and their bigotry as being the same thing, and the argument they are making as such is that they're being repressed, and that is wrong. Exactly, Ron. Yep. This is the old, when you've had hegemonic power, any kind of decrease in that power feels like repression. They feel like they're being oppressed because they can't go around telling people they're wrong with impunity, which is what they did for literally 1,000 years. This town is plenty big enough for us all, with plenty of bakeries for us. Yeah. The rest of this is all just bullshit. essentially she's just saying that gays should stay out of what other people do because they're telling us to stay out of what people do. And the fact of the matter is that the only reason why the LGBTQ community makes such a fuss about situations like the church condemning homosexuality, or people, like the gay wedding cake from a couple of years ago, or their example for Gay Gestapo, which was a farmer's market that banned certain people from showing up after refusing gay couple getting married. It's all about, we should have the right to refuse service to you on our religious grounds, but you should be forced to interact with us even though we think you're disgusting, immoral degenerates. You counter that by saying that their religion necessarily represses other people, and ask why one deserves to be repressed and the other deserves to be lionized. Yep. I have yet to see a religious person able to answer that with anything other than, because that's what the Bible says. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible, people. That's what it says. You can't disagree with me. You can't. No, these people are good. Those people are bad, because it's in my book. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you. See you next time.